Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Ben Has Poorly Planned Today's Stream. Lols, just kidding. We're here to talk about post-workout nutrition today. We are going to do some sushi because, for those of you that know, this is like Asian Heritage Month, and we've got some things to say about that later on, as well as the idea of it's also gluten-free celiac disease awareness month. Those are the right words. So we are going to do sushi again, largely because I am craving sushi. So I want sushi for dinner tonight. Big deal. I cooked it earlier this month. I'm going to do it again because practice makes perfect, right? So what we are going to do is, but today something special is happening. I'm not just using my favorite like seafood hot dog stuff. I got salmon, so that's fun. Got real life salmon. We're gonna see how that works out and how I am with that. But like last time, sushi starts off with making the rice and washing the rice, more importantly. So we're going to start off doing that and start talking about the importance of post-workout nutrition and post-workout nutrition in general, because, it's what I do. It's why we're here streaming. It's talking about nutrition is fun. So, post-workout nutrition plans. Okay, so here's the one biggest thing. I think a lot of people... Put this away first. I do think a lot of people have a harder time with their physical activity and their nutrition. Harder time with their physical activity and their athleticism because they don't eat properly after the workout. There are many reasons for this. A lot of people just fundamentally don't know how to eat properly or what they should be eating or all that kind of stuff. And that's usually where I come in. So, I talk about what their post-workout needs are. I talk about what their nutrition is, their whole overall nutrition plan and all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, in the context of their physical activity, their athleticism, and what their overall goals are. There's a lot of different variables involved. Not just what your body needs theoretically after a workout, but also like what the practical side of things are. As well as the practical side of things, as well as the practical side of things, including their workout timing, what type of workout they're doing, how many reps they're doing, how hard their workout is, what phase of their program they're in, all that kind of stuff. So I integrate a lot of different discussions and considerations into post-workout nutrition recommendations. It's not as straightforward as here's how many calories you need. There's a lot of different variables and factors that come into play, and we're going to talk about that later in this stream. So there's a lot to do, and I always say to people though, like if you're going to do anything from a nutrition standpoint, start on your post-workout nutrition, because the post-workout nutrition is probably one of the most important things from a behavior change standpoint and a nutrition standpoint that you'll ever be able to do. Because one of the most important things is a lot of people, and I talked about this on the what to eat before a marathon stream, but a lot of people consider the soreness that you get after a workout as a good sign of a good workout, good hard quality workout. Now, that is true. Soreness after a workout is very indicative of a hard workout. That is 100% true. But I also tell people it's indicative of a poor nutrition plan, meaning that you didn't eat properly afterwards and that there's excess levels of soreness. The reason, the way I look at this is there any evidence of delayed onset muscle soreness? Is there any kind of lactic acid accumulation? All these different variables, and I'll often talk to people and ask them and ask the athletes what kind of experiences they are having in their muscles post-workout by a couple of hours. So immediately, like 3 hours afterwards, then there's 6 hours, and then the day after. If at any given point that soreness is described as pain, then I'm like, okay, you're doing something wrong, you're screwing up, you're not letting yourself recover properly, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. Or there's a technical side of things from the workout, and I'm like, oh, you need a personal trainer, you need a physiotherapist, you need this. But if all those things are regular and the client is describing their post-workout issues as more of a burning sensation or a little bit of a soreness, like a mild soreness, usually that's indicative of not having enough carbohydrates post-workout or enough protein post-workout, because those are the two predominant things we need to worry about post-workout. Not fortunately for all you vegetables haters, not vegetables. Vegetables are not a priority post-workout, believe it or not. There's a lot of reasons why. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but vegetables are not the priority. So if you don't like vegetables, this is the stream for you, because, you know, we can figure that out for you. But yeah, I'm just washing the rice right now. This is like, I think the 4th wash or the 5th wash, getting all the little rice dust particles off, and, you know, just making sure we have some clean rice to work with, and clean water. So we do this until the water is going to the food and the nutrition bit of everything. We do this because it makes it so that each grain is readily accessible. You can taste each grain a little bit better when you're cooking the sushi. But more importantly, so that the rice doesn't clump up. When the rice clumps up, you have bad sushi and you're going to have a bad time. You're just going to have a bad time. The reason why is the rice, what you're washing off is the friction of the rice smashing together and kind of making a rice flour. You're kind of washing that off the rice right now. And you got to do this because the whole point of sushi is that you can kind of have the vinegar coat every grain of rice afterwards, right? So we're just doing this real quick, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about post-workout nutrition needs and all that kind of stuff. Now, another reason why it's important to talk about post-workout nutrition is because you really don't want to waste your workout. Now, what I mean by that isn't that your workout is wasted if you don't eat properly, but it's a bad return on investment, because what you're doing is, what you have to recognize is that whenever you do a workout, and we're going to talk about different workout types in a little bit, whenever you do a workout, what ends up happening is you're giving your body a stimulus to do something, right? And how you eat determines how effective that stimulus is going to be. So, for example, if like today, I did a heavy pull workout at the gym. Did a lot of deadlifts, did a lot of rows, did a lot of lat pulls and all that kind of stuff. A lot of your standard pull workout. Because the muscle groups there are so large, I needed to eat a heavy, big meal, big in carbohydrates, as well as protein post-workout, in order to continue to allow my body to build that lean muscle mass, but more importantly, recover properly from the workout. And the reason why is because I'm telling the body to stimulate the lean muscle mass to grow, so I have to be able to eat properly to grow, because one of the biggest challenges is a lot of people expect the body to do something with nothing, and that's just not realistic, right? Or they'll be like, oh, I'm doing this so that the body can burn fat, and I'm like, well, the body can't burn fat like that. I know a lot of people, and I'm going to have to do a stream one day where it's more of a discussion about how calories work and how the hormonal cycle works in your body and all that kind of stuff. But for now, we're just going to be like, okay, if you don't feed your body properly, your body will not prioritize the lean muscle mass. And today's workout was trying to build lean muscle mass. So if I didn't eat properly after that, then my body would have actually prevented me from recovering properly. And what it would have done is actually torn apart lean muscle mass from inactive muscle tissue from across the body, and then from the inactive muscle tissue, and then what it'll do is That's nice and clean. It'll tear apart lean muscle mass from the inactive muscle tissue in my body and move it to the active muscle tissue. So today, what I did was a pull workout. Like I said, deadlifts, my lower back, I was hitting up. My lats, my shoulders, like the back shoulders and all that kind of stuff, the rear deltoids. I was doing that for the majority of the workout today. So those are big muscle groups. So you have to be able to eat properly to actually stimulate that growth. The reason why is because if I didn't eat properly, and this happens to a lot of people, what will end up happening is your body will tear apart lean muscle mass from inactive muscle tissue and move it to the active muscle tissue in order to recover, leaving you at what we call a net negative nitrogen balance, which means that your body is not optimally building lean muscle mass properly, right? We need a surplus of that. We need a surplus of protein in order to actually be able to build lean muscle mass, and calories to build lean muscle mass. So I'm just gonna put this rice in my Instant Pot, about 12 minutes, and hopefully it works properly this time. The last few times I have not been seeing my rice cook properly. I think there's a sealing issue that comes with my Instant Pot, but we'll see. All right. Okay. So while that's going, we're going to talk more about nutrition. We're going to cook some stuff up. We're going to cut some stuff up. Let me get the avocado. Here's my avocado, bro. Okay. Avocados. This one's nice. These three are nice. Actually, they're all kind of okay, but I don't want to use them all right now. Alright, I do want to prep them up. Okay. So here are my avocados. I think some are better than others. This one's not so good. This one's alright. This one's good. This one's alright. Now I know there's a trick for avocados that if you take this like stem thing off, the nubbin, and then it's just like a little brown, that's when it's right and ready to go. I got lucky because a lot of these are really good. But if it's like, oh, this is a good one. You see, I just pulled the nub thing off. And if it's light green, it's just not ready to go. So this one's not ready to go, even though it's a little bit soft. But these three are. So we'll use those three. We'll put those two avocados over there. And we'll start prepping this kind of stuff up. And talk about post-workout nutrition at the same time. So, you hear Bruce. So the reason why is because if you do your workout and you don't eat properly, the body is hormonally compromised in that situation. And what it will do is, so for example, like I said before earlier, if you don't eat properly after a workout, what will happen is your body will start tearing apart lean muscle mass and from inactive muscle tissue from around the body, and then it will contribute to move that to the active muscle tissue. So let's say, today my hamstrings, my butt, my back, my lats and all that kind of stuff, my biceps, those were being worked out. So if I didn't eat properly, it'd start tearing apart lean muscle mass from my chest, my abs, my quads, and start moving it to the liver to change into proteins. Well, actually, it would I think it would move to the liver first, and then move to those active muscle groups to repair it. So what would end up happening is the next day, my chest would kind of hurt, my neck might hurt, like all these things that didn't work out might start hurting, and that would solely be because I didn't eat properly after the workout, which is, my bad and all that kind of stuff. So what you need to know is if you don't eat after a workout, that doesn't help you lose weight or anything like that. It doesn't help you lose fat. What it does is it just makes your health status worse, in the sense where your body will not allow you to build lean muscle mass, And if it doesn't allow you to build lean muscle mass and interprets as something is wrong, because that's what your body is doing, it's being like, hey, something's wrong, you're having all this activity and not enough food, then what it will do is start moving your hormonal priorities over to fat gain. And, you know, that's not what we're doing. We're not working out so that we can build less muscle. We're working out so that we can build more muscle, be better athletes, do all that kind of stuff, right? So we want to keep that in mind, that it's just fundamentally one of the biggest things is if you eat properly after your workout, your body will reward you by putting you into, first and foremost, a state of hormonal lean muscle mass build or fat burn, depending on what your workout quality, workout goal was and the parameters of your workout. And then what it will also do is help you increase the metabolism afterwards. This increase in metabolism is what I call the afterburn effect, right? It's when, if you eat properly after a workout, your body will increase its metabolism to build lean muscle mass by about 15 to 20%, depending on what studies we're looking at and all that kind of stuff. And of course, again, metabolism is just the energy that your body uses to keep itself alive, but also carry out the goals that your body is doing. So if you are working out, you're looking to build some lean muscle mass, then what your body's hormonal increase is in muscle protein synthesis is 15 to 20% to help build that lean muscle mass. Because building lean muscle mass is like one of the hardest things for the body to do, and it doesn't like to do that. It's a very energy consuming thing. So if you don't do it properly, then your body will actually tear its own lean muscle mass apart and make everything a little bit worse. And whenever your body loses lean muscle mass, it enters starvation mode relatively quick. And, you know, I say starvation mode, and a lot of people are like, isn't that a little bit hyperbolic? I'm like, yeah, maybe, sure. But the hormonal goals are fundamentally the same. It is looking to decrease your lean muscle mass amount and increase your fat mass. Like, that is the hormonal goal of starvation mode. So you have many starvation modes if you don't eat properly throughout the day after your workout. And that's a real problem for people because I say this all the time. That's a bad return on investment, in the sense where not a lot of people have the time, all the time in the world, to be able to work out properly. So when you do, ideally, I'd like to think that we're not wasting anyone's time and that we're... Okay, that's good. That we're not wasting anyone's time or money in the gym or wherever you're working out, but that you're actually achieving your goals, right? So eating properly, learning how to eat properly after a workout is going to help you actually, I guess, save money to a degree, depending on how you look at it, but it's definitely going to save your time. So that's why it's important to eat properly after a workout. Now, there are, of course, different types of workouts with different type of goals, and different goals need different kind of fueling requirements, right? Post-workout. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but fundamentally that's what building lean muscle, post-workout nutrition requires. It's just the proper food to put the hormonal goals in alignment with itself. So what I mean by that is, if you're telling the body to build lean muscle mass with your exercise, then you should support that goal with the proper amount of nutrition post-workout, so that you can 100% build that lean muscle mass, get strong, get lean, hit your athletic goals, and all that kind of stuff. That's really, really important. So eating properly helps you actually reach your goals a lot better than if you didn't. Who would have thought? So that being said, let's talk about different workout types so that we can understand that how one singular post-workout nutrition plan isn't going to be the solution to everything. So moving this to workout types at the bottom, boom, workout types. What we have to acknowledge is that there are a couple of different workout types and a couple of variables that we want to consider in regards to your post-workout nutrition fueling and your post-workout nutrition plan and your needs and all that kind of stuff. So the majority of workouts, and when I say the majority of workouts that last about an hour are going to require protein and carbohydrates in varying dosages and varying amounts and delivery systems. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the majority of workouts fall into the predominant category of anaerobic exercise. Now, if you'll remember the other streams, there are a couple of different workout types, aerobic as well as anaerobic. The majority of workouts fall into anaerobic workout for the majority of the population. There are exceptions where it's very clearly aerobic and we're just burning fat, but even then that's like a bit of a challenge because the fitness industry uses the term aerobic to describe what kind of workout you're signing up for, but it doesn't describe the hormonal, physiological goals or what the body's actually doing, because I see a lot of like workout classes like cardio pump and all that kind of stuff. It's advertised as aerobic exercise, but the challenge is because it's so intense for a lot of different people, it's actually anaerobic exercise because it's where your body is actually having a harder time keeping up with the oxygen demands of your muscles. So you're hyperventilating, you're not breathing properly, then you're burning carbohydrate as a predominant fuel source because carbohydrate is burnt at high intensity physical activity and fat is burnt at low level physical activity, low level of intensity physical activity. So we want to keep that in mind. And when we say low level, that's more akin to something like a hike, a walk, something steady state, but also a low heart rate, because you could have steady state but high heart rate as well. So keeping in mind that the majority of people that are going to be watching this stream will fall into the category of anaerobic energy metabolism, where your body is burning carbohydrates as the predominant fuel source. So that's why you obviously need carbs post-workout. But what if you were doing an actual genuine fat-burning workout, like aerobic workouts and all that kind of stuff? Well, what we'd be doing there is adjusting the amount of proteins and fats that you're having with a little bit of carb, and not a lot as much carbohydrate, but focusing more on proteins, vegetables, and fats for genuine fat burning workouts. So keep that in mind. That's what we have to focus on a little bit more. Now, like I said too, the majority of these points that I'm making apply to 1 hour long workouts, which is like generally the general population falls into 1 hour long workouts for the majority of the time. Yes, I get that you can be training for a marathon, which, more on that in a little bit, or in later. Those announcements are coming soon. But generally speaking, the majority of people with their workouts fall in the anaerobic energy metabolism zone. So keep that in mind. Because, of course, if you know what your workout is doing, then you know how to feed it properly, right? If you know how to feed it properly, then what you're telling the body to do and what you're doing with your nutrition are properly aligned, and your body will reward you by doing the thing. So if your body is like if you're trying to build lean muscle mass like I was today, then and you eat properly, your body will build lean muscle mass, increase its metabolism, that 10 to 20% increase that I was talking about, that burns fat as its predominant fuel source. So that's the most important thing. You have to tell the body to burn fat for you by eating properly. Like, that's the biggest challenge. That's why a lot of people, when they have a calorie deficit themselves, they don't seem to lose any more weight past a certain point. And it's because their body actually thinks that they're starving because they're not eating properly. It's not just about calories. It's about your protein, your carbs, your fat distribution throughout the entire day, and other variables that we're going to talk about that are more related to stress than anything else. So and eventually I'm going to have make a really long video about like how to properly do certain things, because of course the challenge is a lot of people, there's a lot of beliefs out there on the internet. So we want to make sure that people are getting the best advice that they can possibly get for what they actually need to do and what they want to do. So right now I'm using this boning knife and I'm separating the skin from the salmon. Now this is something I have never really done before, so I'm going to be a little bit more quiet to try to figure this part out. But I made an initial slit on the side, and now I have a little bit of a tab. I'm going to start to cut the sushi a little, cut the salmon a little bit more. Now, this is sushi grade salmon, and I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know what makes it sushi grade. I think, oh my god, this is horrible. Oh my god, this is rough. Okay, let me see if I can do better with this knife. Oh, I am doing better. Thought I was doing better. No! This is so hard! Oh my god. Luckily, I'm only making maki rolls where they're not, like, gonna be too pretty. Go back to this knife and see what happens. There we go. That's helping a little bit more. All right. So as I'm doing this sawing motion with my boning knife, I am pulling the skin away and making sure I don't cut too much into the meat, because I don't want the meat on the skin, because of course that's where my sushi's gonna be. I want all the protein, right? Just want to separate the skin from the salmon. Ooh, I'm doing a pretty good job, actually, if I do say so myself, for someone that doesn't know what they're doing right now. That's not bad. Okay, it's not great, but it's not bad. Like, be real here. I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy with a camera learning how to make sushi. So, we have our salmon. We're going to cut it up now. And the good news is that because I am not really going to do crazy things with this sushi, it's not going to look terribly great. I've accepted that already. We are just going to... What the frig? Oh no. I need tweezers. Hold on one second. Tweezers. Okay. Let's see. Okay, got it. All right. So what I'm going to do is cut up these pieces. Don't know if I'm doing this right. Actually, I do know that I'm doing it wrong. That was freaking fast, the sushi rice. There was something wrong with my Instant Pot, and it just wasn't cooking properly because it was letting steam out. I just secured it earlier, and it looks to be a lot better, so we'll see what happens. But that actually cooked the sushi rice in 12 minutes, which is usually what I program it to. But because the vent opens, it actually takes a lot longer to cook. But I worked on the vent seal and made sure it's sealed up pretty good before we went on. Okay, so this is the sushi. This is the salmon. We've cut it up. And I will say, like, this is just practice, me trying to figure this all out. Definitely not a pro or an expert or anything like that. So don't, at me, you know, all that kind of stuff. You should be doing it like this. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I haven't taken classes, like, ever, so whatever. Take one of these guys. We are going to... sushi mat. You're gonna do this. Oh, damn it. Awesome. Okay. Going to clean this real quick. Then I'm going to take the rice out, let it cool down a little bit before I start rolling it. But then we're going to talk a little bit more about post-workout nutrition needs, and it won't be as disjointed this time. So, yay to that. Because I am a little distracted right now. That's okay. How's it going, chat? How's your day? Anyone new to the stream? I know I got some OGs, got some family members supporting me, which I really, really appreciate. So thank you all for being here. We're just going to vent this out right now. You want to be careful with that because that's a lot of steam, and steam heat, not good. Steam heat really, really is hot. That's the wisdom I got for you. Okay. There it is. Oh yeah. I'm gonna bring this over. Look, that's the rice. Those are kombu. This is kombu because this is just seaweed, kelp, so to speak. And the reason why it's there is to give it a little bit more umami, a little bit more savoriness, a little bit more flavor into the rice while I cook it. And then, oh yeah, this is good. Okay, yeah, I fixed it. I fixed my sushi maker, my Instant Pot. So this is probably the best rice I've ever had. The last few times I made sushi, and the reason why I'm making it again today, is because when I made sushi, it was very, very, the bottom was burnt, and that kind of resonated throughout the whole sushi. I didn't love that too much. So, not cute, but definitely, this is muy bueno. Muy bueno. So, I'm just going to put the vinegar in here. And then cut this in. And then let it cool down. Whew. That's a lot of vinegar. Jeez. Remember, no recipes around here. None of that. Every time is different. All right. Okay, so we're going to get back to talking about different post-workout types as that cools down. And as we get to talk about nutrition again. So let that be, leave that be over here. Let's talk about different workout types. And Masago needs to cool. Okay, we're just going to do this on top of the Masago and let that heat kind of thing. Okay, so workout types. Can you tell I have ADHD, by the way? This is the day in the life of Ben. Different type of workout types. So the majority is anabolic. That is actively telling your body to build lean muscle mass, and the rest is aerobic, right? Where you're telling the body to burn fat. Your anaerobic exercise, what we need to focus on is more protein, and more actually carbohydrates first, then protein. Why? In terms of anabolic exercise, you're looking to build lean muscle mass. So let's understand what foods actually help the body build lean muscle mass. First of all, there's protein. Stuff like your salmon, your beef, your pork, your tofu, seitan, a lot of plant-based proteins, all that kind of stuff. Protein is there to build. But what the challenge is think of the muscles like a wall, and that your protein are just bricks, right? You can eat a lot of protein, but the protein's not going to do anything by itself because it can't actively just move itself into the muscle to build more muscle, right? So you need something to actually help it out. And this is where carbohydrates come in via the action of the hormone insulin. Now, what does that mean? Carbohydrates, when you eat them, they release insulin. Insulin's a hormone that helps reduce blood sugar, but what it also does is it's an anabolic hormone. Anabolic means that it's going to build. What it builds is dependent on what you tell it to build. So like today, if I had a workout that was heavily focused on muscle building and really pushing my strength and all that kind of stuff, then I'm actively telling the body to build lean muscle mass. But if it was more of a, let's just stay with that example for now. The workout I did today was looking to build lean muscle mass, so I have to eat more carbs and protein. The protein's there to help build the lean muscle mass up. The carbs are there to as the building blocks, but the carbs are actually there to actually do the heavy lifting. They're there to put the protein into the actual muscle. That's what a lot of people miss and they misunderstand, and that's why, like, for a lot of low carb diets, you can't really build lean muscle mass on them for a significant period of time. You can build lean muscle mass, don't get me wrong, on a low carb diet. It's just not going to last long because your body's going to interpret that more as a state of starvation than anything else. So you do need carbs in order to build lean muscle mass. How much carbs? That, it again has to do with my, I guess, episodic reminder that this is not nutrition advice for everybody. This is just special considerations for you to think of if you're working on your nutrition. So in that respect, what we have to look at is, for how much carbs, is what were the active muscle groups, how long was that workout, and how intense was that workout. This usually determines how much carb I tell someone to eat after their workout. So let's break this down. If you, and as well as age and biological sex and all that kind of stuff, right? So why is this important? Because if I tell the body to eat something, if I tell someone to eat something, and they do it, to build lean muscle mass, it's because all those variables have to be taken into consideration, as well as time of the workout, right? So let's talk about time of the workout. If your workout is during the day, then we can get you 100% of the nutrition that you need post-workout. It is a very optimal situation. Why is this? Well, the body's hormones during the day, in response to circadian rhythm patterns in the body, will absorb carbohydrates the best and utilize them the best to build lean muscle mass. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. If you're looking to have aggressive, big workouts, it should be during the day. It doesn't mean you can't do it at nighttime. It just means that at nighttime, it's probably best to scale back the level of intensity. So how would I have done that today for my workout? Well, I was doing a pull workout, so I probably would have gone on the lighter side on the weights, gone to a higher rep range, so that I would need to eat a little bit less post-workout in accordance to what the nighttime scheduling is. Because if I eat too much carbs at nighttime, yes, the body will absorb it, but it will more likely have unstable blood sugars as a result of that. Right? So that's why I don't want to do my workouts too late at night, because it's not ideal for lean muscle mass building, but more importantly, it's more likely than not going to keep me up. And that being kept up thing, not being able to sleep properly, that is a stress factor that works against the building of lean muscle mass. So that's something that people got to keep in mind, is that you have to have the right hormonal conditions in order to build lean muscle mass, and stress is one of them, and that is a very inclusive definition of stress. That is stress that comes from emotions, finances, and physical. Physical accounting for high intensity physical activity without proper nutrition, not sleeping properly, injuries, that kind of stuff. Those are things where it's like, okay, it's not optimal to build lean muscle mass at this point in time. Doesn't mean we can't. It just means that there's multiple signals going on in the body. One, you're telling the body to build lean muscle mass, but your body, in response to that stress, is also telling the body to build fat too. So that's kind of why that happens for a lot of different people, and they can't figure it out. And I'm like, oh, this is why. And then they're like, oh, no one told me that. And I'm like, yeah, no one does, because that's just how the nutrition world is. It's like, oh, you got to pay for this. That's why we're doing this stream, by the way, so that we can actually increase people's health literacy across nutrition and sport and get them to eat properly, because I'm passionate about this. The majority of athletes are actually low income, and in order for them to do well, they need access to the best to keep the playing field leveled. And this is my ability to do that. This is what I do to do that, to contribute to that cause, right? So, in response to building lean muscle mass, you need more carbohydrates than you need protein. So personally, what I had today was a protein shake after I finished my workout, and then I had a good ramen noodle. I'm not gonna lie, with some eggs, and that was good enough because I'm getting older. My stimulation to building muscle mass is not so high, so I'd rather, and I'm in a transition period right now with my training. I'm actually going into a cut cycle pretty soon. I'll have some videos out about that, but we'll talk about that some other time. But right now, this is just what it is. So getting back to this, the majority of workouts are building muscle. Let's say you're doing a workout that focuses on burning fat, though. So an aerobic energy metabolism workout. Now, there are a lot of different things to consider in order for your workout to be actually aerobic. Is what is the heart rate during your workout, and have you reached steady state? So steady state is basically where your heart rate's not increasing or decreasing anymore. And this is important because the rapid changes in your heart rate automatically use carbohydrate as a primary fuel source, because your body always overreacts to stuff like this. So if your heart rate is stable, let's say, for example, yesterday my workout was a 5K run at 5.5 miles per hour to 6 miles per hour, pushing the speed up just a little bit. My heart rate was pretty consistent within the fat burning zone the entire time. And that meant that, yes, I was going to successfully burn fat. So what would I do post-workout in order to successfully burn fat and maintain my lean muscle mass? Well, the focus now ends up being more proteins, fats, a little bit less carbohydrate, and fats is the biggest inclusive factor. Well, why is that? Yes, I did say that aerobic energy metabolism, the primary fuel source, is fat. So we want some dietary fats coming in order to not restore those calories that we burnt off, but because of how satiety works in the body. Fat actually keeps us full long term much more effectively than protein does. So in those situations where you're burning fat, what also likely happens from a physiological standpoint in the body is that it actually loses a little bit of lean muscle mass as well. So when people are doing things to actively burn fat, they can't control their hunger at nighttime. And this is one of the biggest key indicators of whether or not someone's successfully building muscle and burning fat at the same time, is what is their hormonal response at nighttime like. A lot of people don't realize that nighttime eating is in direct response to not meeting nutritional needs throughout the day. So let's say you had a big workout, you didn't eat properly, you skipped your lunch. Guaranteed, well, I shouldn't say guaranteed, but the likelihood that you're going to be craving carbohydrates at nighttime is very high. Well, why is this? Because your body's in starvation mode. It is going to tell it to eat when it is most likely to accomplish its own goals. So the body's goals in response to starvation mode are tearing apart lean muscle mass, which check. You didn't eat properly past your after the run, or if I didn't eat properly after the run, my body would have torn apart lean muscle mass from other parts of my body, moved it down to my legs, which were very active. If your body was fed properly, then what it's going to do is build and repair those lean muscle mass. It's going to continue to burn fat throughout the rest of the day because it knows it's okay to do so. It's going to do that, which is obviously what I did, right? So, but going back to why fat, the dietary fats, so coming from things like avocado, fatty fish, butter, your condiments, a lot of those kind of things, those contribute to keeping you full long term along with the protein. Because the goal is, after a steady state exercise, you want to make sure that you're full and not your body's not re-triggering your appetite as much as possible. So when, in the past when I got into marathon training and all that kind of stuff, what would happen is you'd run for something ridiculous, like 3 hours for a distance run. And during those 3 hours, your body is going to tear apart lean muscle mass. Now, the reason why is because your body only has enough fuel to fuel around 1 hour's worth of physical activity optimally. After that, what the body does do is it starts tearing apart lean muscle mass and moves it to the liver. It changes into carbohydrate to continue fueling the workout. It does not burn fat as optimally as people think. The reason why is because your body's hormonal system is going haywire. It does not want you exercising for that long of a period of time, even though it's designed to be able to. It just doesn't do it optimally. Optimally is the operative word. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you're doing it optimally. So keep that wording in mind, because it's very, very important, right? A lot of people are always like, well, I could do this, but then this happened. And I'm like, yeah, because it wasn't optimal. We're looking at a way to try to get you to eat to stimulate the muscle mass building and fat burn at the same time in those aerobic situations. So what you have to do is recognize, okay, if I ran for 3 hours, it's very likely that my body tore apart lean muscle mass from inactive muscle tissue and moved it to the liver to change into carbohydrate to move to the active muscle groups. That's very, very likely. So we know that whenever your body loses lean muscle mass, your appetite increases in response to starvation mode mechanisms, right? So what ends up happening is your body is actively at that point telling you to eat as much as possible. And distance runners know exactly what I'm talking about, or triathletes know exactly what I'm talking about, is because after you do a distance workout or something big like that, you can't stop eating no matter how much you ate at that post-workout meal or anything like that. And the reason why is because your body is constantly telling you to ante-up on the carbohydrates specifically. So a lot of people after their distance workouts will be like, they'll be like, I can't stop eating that day. It's always cookies, it's always grazing behaviors, it's always stuff like that. And the reason is because their body is actually working properly, but it's just that they don't want to do that, right? They don't want to be continuously eating. They want to be like, hey, I burned all these calories and then I just want to, go about the rest of my day, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff, which is fine, but it means you got to eat properly. So after those kind of workouts, the focus is more on protein and fat for satiety, as well as vegetables and a little bit of carbohydrate. So not terribly too much carbohydrate, because the body will be like, oh, good, we can spike our insulin now. We'll store it as fat in response to the carbs, in response to the fat burn, exercise, and all that kind of stuff. So we want to keep those things in mind. And right now, I'm trying to get everything going for dinner. So the rice is still a little bit warm, but it's good enough to work with. So we're just kind of doing our thing with the sushi, starting to prep and all that kind of stuff. Let's use the crappy parts of the salmon first. Okay. Then avocado. And then I'm going to have a little bit of masago, fish eggs. This is just for flavor more than anything else, but it's nice to have it there. It's one of my favorite things. And when you make your own sushi, the best part is that you can do whatever you want in terms of topping and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to roll this up. So going back to the fat aerobic energy metabolism, the focus is not on the same things as your anaerobic energy metabolism workouts are. So that would be like your muscle building workouts, spin class, or anything like that. Those workouts, the predominant focus again is carbohydrate and protein. It is not fats and not as protein dominant, not fat dominant, and all that kind of stuff. And that's because your aerobic energy metabolism, depending on the length of time, has most likely burnt some of your muscle mass stores. And what we want to do is eat in a way that actually keeps you full for the rest of the day. The reason why is because if you're full for the rest of the day, then your body, in response to that, will not be able to ante up your appetite, because what happens is with fat specifically, fat is a very slow breakdown food in the body. So it will slow down the release of the meal that you've eaten with a higher fat content. It will slow it down, and it will still be digesting your digestive system. That's why a lot of people, they can eat a lot of fried foods in one sitting, in one short period of time, but they can't properly eat afterwards. That's why a lot of people, when they go keto, they're like, I'm full. I'm full. It's because they finally are eating enough dietary fats, arguably too much, but they're eating enough dietary fats to allow them to actually feel full, because fat breaks down in the body the slowest. So next time you have a high fat meal or a meal with a lot of fat, think about how long it's going to take you to feel hunger again. And that should be the biggest thing, right? And the reason why this is the case is because we're trying to slow down the body's release of the food in your digestive system. Because if we're able to do this, then what the body will do is it will finally burn fat as a result of that. Now, why does it do this? Because your body is actively so full to the degree where, you know, it's going like, hey, we can't eat anymore. There's no more room in the stomach. That's the signal that your body's giving back to your brain. So what your brain now does is, okay, let's make an executive decision. Let's burn some of those fat stores that we've been keeping around, right? We don't need that. So that's how the body actually starts to burn fat successfully, is when you are after a workout like that, you're actually able to keep it full enough to prevent it from reactivating its starvation mechanisms. Because that point will be like, okay, your body's getting all these signals to be like, hey, we're full enough from this meal. You don't need to eat anymore, but we do need calories to carry out the goals of building the lean muscle mass, burning the fat, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff, right? So the workout type is very, very important because it tells you exactly, generally speaking, what you need to focus on in your nutrition plan and your post-workout nutrition plan. So always keep that in mind. The type of workout you have determines more of your nutritional needs than in the post-workout nutrition plan than anything else. So for the majority of you, you'll need to focus on carbohydrates and protein post-workout. But for the distance runners, the endurance athletes and all that kind of stuff, you will probably need to focus a little bit more on fats and protein than you think you do. And that's a challenge for a lot of endurance athletes because, endurance athletes only think about carbs in my experience. They don't realize how much protein they actually need for their sport, which is, you know, a challenge, because I've always told people, I'm like, if you have a proper endurance athlete, like a marathon runner, all that kind of stuff, they will need as much protein as a bodybuilder does. And that shocks them. That really, really does. And that's why, like, I think distance running is really, really hard, because it's hard to get that amount of food in you and do it properly, because you have less time than a bodybuilder does. A bodybuilder generally spends less time doing their workouts compared to an endurance runner and how active they are, or endurance athletes. So, you know, it's a real challenge talking about nutrition with athletes, because they always have these presumptions about what they should be doing, and it's always hard to make a second impression in their mind. So what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of people will on the internet find like a very charismatic person that is speaking directly to them about their nutrition, yada yada, all that kind of stuff, but they won't realize whether or not that person is giving them good advice or bad advice, right? Thus is the challenge of life, in that sense where we need to be able to get better nutrition more accessible to everyone, which is what this whole streaming series is about. So that being said, avocado on, Masago, and then roll it up. Okay, beautiful. Roll this up. So that's the generally what you the different kind of workouts need, and the different kind of workouts need from a post-workout nutrition perspective. Again, the majority of workouts will need to focus on carbohydrates and protein, but for the endurance athletes out there that are getting into steady state runs and tempo runs and all that kind of stuff, you will need to focus a little bit more on proteins and fats for your post-workout nutrition plan. The ratio, everyone's ratio needs to be adjusted according to them. So that's the challenge with talking about this kind of stuff, is like I could say stuff like, hey, you need to focus on, you need to do this, but I can't tell you exactly how much. I can only use myself as an example of like exactly how much I ate for certain things and certain workouts and all that kind of stuff, which I got to do a better job of uploading videos on that kind of content soon, because I think that'll be interesting to use myself as a test subject. But you know, life is hard. Life is hard. So we're just gonna, you know, keep streaming right now, keep making the content in a way that's not overwhelming to me, because it's a one-man army, and one-man armies need rest. So keep that in mind. So far we have covered the protein needs, the post-workout nutrition needs, and of different types of workouts. So that's exciting. I don't have enough here, so I'm going to make that thinner so it spread it out a little bit better. Okay, sesame seeds in thin salmon. Nice, that works. Sushi. All right. Why not put another avocado in there? That'll be a heavy avocado roll. Whatever. It'll be good. All right. Let's see what's going on. Nothing in chat? That's okay. All right. Any questions in chat? Anyone want to know a little bit more about their kind of stuff? Because I only talk about my stuff right now, not you know, having anyone to really chat with right now, but that's okay. All right. Ah, ugly sushi. Well, you know how I feel about that. I'm just going to put it all to the same place anyways. My stomach. All right. All the salmon is utilized in those 4 rolls. That's pretty good. And what I'm going to do now is make the hot dog sushi rolls. I could have done one where I put them both together, but that might have been a bit much. I don't know. Either way. Looks like we only have enough for about 2 more rolls, which is wild. To burn through that rice that fast. But, again, it's just for dinner, for me, alone, because that's the way I likes it, baby! Okay. All right. Nice. 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 All right. We're on a roll here. Get it? Get it? You don't get it. That's fine. That could be funny for the both of us. So that is your post-workout nutrition considerations for the workout types and what the fueling needs. So I'm just going to change over the thing at the very, very bottom in a little bit. Hold on. Do it now. Post-workout needs. So along post-workout needs, you see at the bottom? Boom. Boom. You see right there? Post-workout needs. Boom. So, like I was saying before, the workout type determines what kind of post-workout needs you have. Your anaerobic energy workouts are going to require carbohydrate and protein as a predominant fuel source for your post-workout fueling needs. But if you are doing a... both look like the shiny side. If you are doing a cardio workout, low intensity, heart rate, and all that kind of stuff, then you need proteins and fats as the focus of your post-workout nutrition plan. So give that a shot if you're you know, depending on what your needs are, your workout goals are, and all that kind of stuff, what your activity goals are. But yeah, the different post-workout needs. I don't think this gets talked about at all or enough in the sports nutrition world, because we're talking about nutrition, right? But the challenge is a lot of different variables affect your ability to recover properly. And when we're talking about post-workout nutrition, we are talking about recovery. That is exactly one of the biggest things that post-workout nutrition is all about, is recovery. So, just going to let that soak so it's a little bit easier to clean in a little bit. All the rice bits flying around and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. All right. Ah! I was supposed to use up the rest of these hot dogs. There's too many. There's not enough rice. Okay, that's okay. I'll have to probably use the stuff for another day. The last roll. The last roll. Okay. Roll this up. And talk about different needs. So, not enough people talk about post-workout, the needs of the post-workout, of, you know, recovery in general. So, recovery is very, very loose because there's a lot of different things that go into the whole recovery process. Some of them I consider more to be symptomatic things, like muscle soreness and all that kind of stuff, addressed with massage guns, foam rolling, all that kind of stuff. Very, very important. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to have the right influences on your hormonal conditions in order to be able to recover properly from your workout. So, a few different examples of this is going to be along the lines of, oh no, I have so much avocado left over. That's okay. We'll use that avocado for something else. We will store it away. That we will do. Okay. Ah! Things are falling apart. Oh, I'm just going to put that there for now. You didn't see it. You didn't see anything. Okay. We're going to use that for something else, probably making sushi tomorrow. That away. Might use that for something else. That away, that here. And then, let's cut these up Aussie style. So, one of the biggest considerations is sleep in regards to your recovery process and all that kind of stuff. So, prioritize your sleep. Try to get your workouts as early as possible. The reason why is because the later you work out, the more unaligned your physical activity is with your hormonal goals of the day. And this has to do with the circadian rhythms again. So again, the circadian rhythm is your body's hormonal response to daylight versus sunlight hours. Daylight versus nighttime hours. During the day, what your body will do is it will prioritize building lean muscle mass, and it will prioritize muscle building properties and hormonal properties like that. At nighttime, your body does not want to build lean muscle mass like ever, and usually interprets high physical activity levels at nighttime as a stress response. So that's a challenge, because if you're having a stress response and losing lean muscle mass because your body doesn't want to build lean muscle mass at nighttime, then what the challenge is are you working against your own goals? Because most of the time, a lot of people are. They are unfortunately working against their own goals. So what we want to be able to do is either be able to adjust the physical activity time, the length, the duration, or the intensity to be able to get around that. So what I tell people all the time is, hey, can we do like a slower run at nighttime? Could we do like a lower intensity resistance training program at nighttime? Because that's what's going to be a little bit more effective for your overall workout goals and what you're trying to achieve with everything. So keep that in mind. Yay. We're done with that. All right. That's some good looking sushi. I'm getting better at this. I'm going to put everything away. By the way, how do you all feel about this hairstyle? Yes? No? Tried something different? Didn't want to curl it today? No real reason, just felt like not wanting to do it, to be perfectly honest. Felt like a low-key lazy day. So, just didn't want to curl it. Just did a slick back kind of thing. So, hopefully y'all like it, and if you don't, whatever. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. We'll try something else, though, next time, but, not losing any sleep over it. So that's good. Yay, confidence. Post-workout nutrition needs. All right. So those are the post-workout nutrition needs, your overall recovery. So those factors are very, very important for you to consider in your whole overall thing. Do not try to work out at the wrong time of the day, or try to adjust the intensity, if anything. And that will allow you to have better goals. And a better time reaching your goals, I'm going to say. So, wasabi. And I need more wasabi already. Oh my god. This stuff goes so fast. Light soy sauce. And we have our seaweed salad. Because vegetables. Yeah, I'm just going to use the rest of these. Ugh. Alright, we need to pick up more of those next time we go to Costco. I'm going to use this guy to mix up my wasabi and my soy sauce, because that's the way I like it. And I know it's not official, but it is what it is. I likes it like this, and you can't stop me. Look at that, by the way. Look at the picturesque kind of sushi roll. I'm getting way better at this. See, that's the beautiful thing about this stream and me cooking, is just like, I'm legit just practicing cooking in front of you all to get better at dishes that I'm not too confident with. And every now and then when I want to flex, because once Asian Heritage Month is over, I will be cooking other non-Asian foods again. But so far, this has been a very, very, very gluten-free kind of thing. I forgot to mention, soy sauce is not gluten-free because of tamari. Because it is made with wheat. So that's not gluten-free. Wasabi is, but I will use something else like tamari in order to get to that point of having some soy sauce and some flavors together with the sushi rolls and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing there. Yes. So is there a better way I can arrange this? Let me see. You say don't play with your food, right? Wrong. Play with your food. Okay. Look at that. Friggin' delicious and beautiful. Yay! Okay. All of that's done. Stream's going to end soon because the post-workout nutrition plan one is, there's a lot to talk about, there's a lot of content, but a lot of it is very, very specialized towards what you're wanting to do, right? Again, if you're looking to build lean muscle mass, you need to have a workout that is consistent with that, typically during the day, and you need to eat properly before and afterwards. So before, just have a little bit of carbohydrate, some protein. Afterwards, you're focusing on carbohydrates and protein again. And the reason why is because the carbohydrates are going to help stimulate the building of the lean muscle mass. The protein is the building blocks of the muscle. So you kind of need to eat enough carbs in order to stimulate that building of that lean muscle mass. So secondly, if you're looking to burn fat with a lower intensity physical activity, you want to focus more on proteins and fats and less on carbs in that post-workout meal. Now, I forgot to say this, there's a couple different trains of thought in regards to when to eat what. So I mentioned before earlier that after my workouts I have my protein powder, and that's because like some old school research has said that within 20 minutes of finishing a workout, you have to have like 30 grams of protein or something like that. Now, the reason why that is it was believed at that point in time in the past that there was an increased absorption window for the proteins in that post-workout window by about between 20 to 45 minutes after the workout. The carbohydrates enter in slowly, and this is where the meal comes in, right? So the post-workout nutrition, the shake that I have, the protein shake that I have, is just a scoop of protein powder, and depending on what I was doing, with creatine or creatine and water, or just water. In terms of fat burning, I just do water. In terms of muscle building, I do creatine and the water mixed with the protein powder. The reason why is because I'm 38. I'm reaching the age of 40, and once you reach the age of 40, you're going to start to have creatine retention and absorption issues. So I'm getting that practice up now to build more muscle in a shorter period of time. Because, of course, your muscle is your long-term health accumulation storage and all that kind of stuff. Then the post-workout meal. The literature has said in the past that your carbohydrate and protein, long-term protein absorption is most effective 45 minutes to 2 hours after finishing the workout. So in that situation, that's where the meal would typically come in. So I usually tell people to have a post-workout meal within 2 hours of finishing the workout. Now, there's been a lot of other literature in the past that has debunked this, and that's perfectly fine. I just like doing the old school method because it builds behavior. And those instincts that you do are still going to be beneficial. But the research now typically does say that you can eat up to 6 hours afterwards, or you can do all those kind of things. I just don't encourage that because typically what I find is after a workout, you get pretty hungry pretty fast. So making sure you eat is really good practice so you don't try to tear someone's head off in a road rage incident or anything like that, right? And if you are, but it does say that typically the majority of the nutrition, if it surrounds the workout, then you're really, really good. So for those, so that could be done too, but specifically in a post-workout nutrition stream theme kind of context, I will talk more about the old school way, largely because I like the way how it builds behavior more than the new school way does, where the new school way is, yes, a lot more flexible, but a lot less concise and clear on what behaviors and practices you need to do in order to achieve X goal. So I like old school because it has that added benefit, but if you're in a situation where you're like, I did this workout, and then I had a chemistry lab, and you're not allowed to eat during chemistry lab, and that chemistry lab goes for an hour and a half, so I missed my post-workout meal window, You still need to eat after that. Just get the protein shake in first. Do the class. You're going to be hungry during that class, and then eat afterwards. It's not perfect. It's not great, but it's doable. It is 100% doable. So keep those things in mind. Today I was talking specifically about an old school methodology for the post-workout nutrition plan. Either way, that being said, another thing to keep in mind too in regards to the recovery the post-workout needs, a lot of people miss this thing too, but Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing this way back in like the golden age of bodybuilding. But what he would do is have a protein shake before he goes to bed, and then halfway through his sleep, he'd wake up, slam down a protein shake, go back to sleep. I am not advocating anyone do that, to wake up in the middle of the night to slam a protein shake and go back to bed, because disturbed sleep cycles increase stress responses, and that increased stress response is more likely than not going to have negative effects on everything else in your body, including your emotional health and your mental health. So don't encourage the waking up part. But what I do encourage is a good dosage of protein before you go to bed. The reason why is because the first few hours when you sleep is when your body does the most building and repairing of lean muscle mass. And when your body is doing the building and repairing of lean muscle mass, it's going to want some protein in there, right? So if people are typically having troubles falling asleep, I recommend a high protein, moderate level fat snack before bed, so that their body has enough of the building blocks to build that lean muscle mass overnight. Very, very effective strategy. One of the most common recommendations I give out is Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. The reason why is because they don't have too much carbohydrates in them, but the protein content, especially coming from casein, as well as the fat content in Greek yogurt, it lends itself to break down slower overnight and allow the body to absorb more protein overnight. It also, because it is slow breakdown, then what it does is it allows the body's metabolism to stay active overnight, meaning that you're burning more fat while you sleep. Remember, a metabolism is largely the organ function that's involved in keeping you alive. So in this situation, digestion is the most metabolically active system in the entire body, because that's the majority of your organs in the entire body is related to digestion and processing foods. So what happens is when your body is sleeping while it's digesting while you're sleeping, the body's burning calories while you're sleeping, right? And those calories are purely from fat. So eat a little bit of protein and fat before you go to bed. You'll do a little bit better from the recovery sleep standpoint too, because that is something that's very, very important. A lot of people, there's an old wives' tale being like, oh, I can't eat before bed, otherwise you'll gain weight. Or if I eat after 6 p.m., I'll gain weight. I'm like, we need to understand the circadian rhythm stuff a little bit more, in which case I will be talking about that at a future stream. And what I will be talking about is in the next little bit, this month was a little bit more chaotic than most and all that kind of stuff, as is my life. And that's completely fine. So what I want to be able to do next month, in the month of June, is actually kind of have a roadmap schedule and see what that does for the viewership, for the engagement, for everything else. I'm going to have a couple of like themes listed out and posted on Instagram well in advance so people could block off their schedules and all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm still new to this, still trying to figure out, like, this is my 7th episode of streaming, 7th time streaming. So, you know, it's I'm trying to build that habit, trying to build that behavior, trying to build something here, and I have to accept that practice is a part of this. So it's not going to be perfect right off the bat, which is completely fine. I appreciate those of you that are here for the ride to kind of see the stream develop. But I think in the month of June, I'm going to have a little bit of what I call corporatism in order to have the stream thrive a little bit more. So for the month of June, starting June 1st, I am going to post something on my Instagram. So go at that, which is the handle is evolved_sport_nutrition, and that might be subjected to change sometime soon too, but go there, and I'm going to have a post about what the stream schedule is going to be sometime very, very soon. I also do want to thank everyone that's been watching this entire month and from the beginning. Truly, truly does mean a lot to me. I'm seeing the subscribers growing. I'm seeing the engagement growing and all that kind of stuff. I really, truly do appreciate that. May is a difficult month for me for multiple different reasons. Largely it being Asian Heritage Month and some personal reasons. Now, why is Asian Heritage Month difficult for me? It's because I feel like the reason why Asian Heritage Month exists signifies that there's mistreatment of Asian people. And when I say Asian people, like I said last stream, that includes South Asians as well as the Palestinian people right now. It's very, very hard because of what's happening in Gaza, and it's been consistent for such a long time, and how the world chooses to gaslight and ignore and move the goalpost with Netanyahu and all that kind of stuff. I am not a fan, and it is not okay. I have been trying to keep space for my Palestinian friends, my Iranian friends, my Middle Eastern friends, but to ignore their suffering right now is fundamentally terrible. And it's been done for way too long, and it's not okay. People are like, oh, this happened since October. This has been happening for over 75 years, since the Nakba, since all this kind of stuff. So it's been a hard month to try to create content that captures people, but doesn't highlight this enough. And I need to do better about that. I need to be better about that kind of stuff. And this is my first crack at it. So, write to your politicians, donate, go to rallies, and all that kind of stuff, because this is unacceptable that we're living through a genocide right now, and people are still doing stupid things like, oh, define genocide, or isn't it genocide? Here's the reasons why. I'm like, if you have to argue against it, you're a part of the problem. You really, really are. And I'm so glad that I'm not a part of the social groups that I was in the past, where, there was a lot of Zionist movements and all that kind of stuff within the populations I was involved in the past. Those are just shitty people for multiple different reasons. But yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard for a lot of different people that are more socially aware, that are more socially in tune. So please, I beg you, please go out there, support Gaza, support Rafah, support Palestine. Everything happening in Africa right now is just a goddamn nightmare as well. The Congo, it's just, the world is turning to shit. It's end stage capitalism, and it's difficult because I'm trying to create content here that is addressing social issues. And those social issues involve this. When we talk about food insecurity, look at all the countries that are going through this shit right now. Huge food insecurity issues, right? I'm just trying to do whatever I can to help people that are athletic and their sport and all that kind of stuff. But, it boils down to, here's how to eat this to lose weight. Here's how to do this. But there needs to be more social justice in the world. It's the reason why I broke up with my last partner, because she was, well, aside from being a racist, she just claimed all her social justice kind of stuff was just performative, and I'm so tired of it. That I just you know what, this is not going to work. You're just fundamentally being racist towards me, as well as other people, and she won't acknowledge it. She's like, I'm not racist. I'm like, okay, well, all right, sure. But yeah, so either way, I'm ranting right now. This is a very tough topic to talk about. It's very difficult to experience, to see, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a hard month, and it's going to continue to be hard. Yeah, I just hope that I've spoken to someone out there, and I hope that you get encouraged to kind of do your thing too. So write to your local governments, write to your senators or your premiers or whatever. A ceasefire, immediately, all that, everything. It's just, it's insane to me right now what is happening and what's being allowed to happen. And I know I'm going to lose. I know I'm going to lose followers over this. I have in the past with all this kind of stuff. That's not going to silence me or stop me at all. So, anyways, I'm going to eat some sushi now. That's privilege for you. And carry on with my evening. But I hope this video was helpful. to everyone. I hope you learned something today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And pay attention to Instagram. Please like, please subscribe, do all the kind of things that a YouTuber would typically do. Like, subscribe, hit the notification icon, and all that kind of stuff, so you know when I'm going live next, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And let's just be better to each other, because this is not it. It's just not it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm doing much better at this. I'm doing much, much better at this. Someone's gonna have to like try these out at some point, but I am getting much, much better at this. This is awesome. Okay. So, again, please like, please subscribe. Do your thing. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.